Yeah.
You know? Okay.
Yeah, like some jazz can be really nice, but I'm
Yeah.
very specific about my jazz.
Yes. Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome back to our little corner of the internet. I'm T, and this is Mooney.
'Tis I, the Frenchiest fry.
So what are we talking about today, Moon?
All right, today we are talking about our deep and intense love for the group known as the Amazing Devil.
Woo!
Yes, they are magnificent. I cannot express my love for them enough.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because during this quarantine, we've had nothing to do but listen to music. And in like March, I was supposed to be visiting Mooney, and that was the week that quarantine and lockdown went into action. So we ended up being separated cruelly and unfairly by the world. But it did give her a chance to discover this amazing band, pun intended, and gave me a chance to also discover it through her. So I have a lot of papers over on my end, so you're going to hear a lot of flicking and turning of pages. So yeah, we've just compiled a personal list of our current faves.
Why don't we start with Rockrose and the Thistle?
So this is the first song on their Horror in the Wilds album.
Yes, it's their second album that was released. Was it this year or the end of last year? Yeah, it was this year. Yeah. It was released the beginning of this year.
All the songs are going to be linked in the description of this video. If you want to pause this and hop over and listen to the tracks, see what we're talking about, and then come back, more than welcome to do that. And
please do listen at some point, whether it's during the episode or afterwards, because they are an amazing band.
So this is like pretty out there when it comes. It's completely, I think, like acapella. It's only their voices with like some ambiance.
Yeah, it's just their voices, and then the song starts with just the sound of wind, and then throughout the song you can hear the wind in the background.
Yeah. And
which is one of my favorite things about that song.
Yeah, it's like very chilling. You know, it makes you think of like a stormy sea, and it's like battering against this gray castle on a hill, and it's bleak night. You know, it's kind of got that "it was a dark and stormy night" beginning to the album. Any like specific lyrics you want to touch on here? Because I have an example, but I don't want to talk all over your time.
Okay, well, I couldn't decide between like just one section of the song. If that's okay, I had to narrow it down to two.
All right.
I don't know what all you wrote, but so my favorite part of the song starts with 'cause I'll darn you back together when you think that you're bereft, and you'll wail, you'll scream, but I'll never stop 'cause it's all that I have left.
That's actually the line I picked too. So.
I was wondering how many of these we would pick the same line on.
Probably a lot. We have similar
probably. We do. But I really love that part, and I love how it's sung too.
Very sad.
I mean, the entire song is raw and sad, but like that part especially to me, because the vocals kind of seem to peak there.
Yeah. I mean, if I could talk a little on what I think it means, or
absolutely,
at least one of the many interpretations could be. That's the great thing about art, is that it's different to everybody who perceives it.
Yes.
But I mean, I immediately think of like mental illness, and
same.
It takes a huge toll, obviously, on the sufferer, the person who's coping with it. But there's a whole different kind of pain and aching that their loved ones experience. People who they maybe can understand a little bit from their own experiences, or they don't get it at all, but they know that their loved one is suffering, and they're like, you know, all I can try and do is fix you.
Right.
And that can be scary for both people.
Absolutely. And I mean, for this,
that takes a huge toll on a relationship, whether it's romantic or platonic, or if it's family.
Absolutely.
It's a very, very delicate and dangerous part of the healing process.
For sure. For that line in particular, what kind of hit me is that, again, like with the healing process, it's a lot of the time, if you're coming in, they don't necessarily want help.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they do, but they don't, you know? And so especially the you'll wail, you'll scream part, that kind of hit me because, I mean, obviously it's a distressing time, but like you're having to stand there while they're distressed and they don't want help. And you're standing there and you have to help them.
Yeah, like how much, we're getting really deep into this, but it's like, you don't want to scare them away, but you also realize that you're the sane one.
You
in this
can't lose
situation.
them.
You need to step in and do some steering, otherwise they're gonna wreck this car.
Yeah. And like for me, it just hit me as like, because like I've had extensive experience with both sides of this, both the one in the scenario of, for example, mental illness, and the one watching somebody. And it's, you know, it's very much like you don't want to lose them. You can't lose them.
Yeah.
You know, so like what can you do when you can't lose them, but you can't seem to find out how to help them either, you know?
Yeah, your hands are tied. Later on in the song, there's a line which is, I can't remember it exactly, but...
And I find you with a thimble weeping, may I ask, may I? And you gently gift it to me, 'cause you've no clue how to sew. And I know the kindest thing, I pray to God it's the kindest thing. I know the kindest thing is to never leave you alone.
And that's like the breaking in the storm. Like it goes from that chaos of like, you know, an anxiety attack, to, you know, I'm someone who's dealt with that. And there's this like crashing down after you've had the attack where it's just like complete silence in your brain. And to just like, you know, it's like being a docile animal for a second. You're not really, you're completely removed from yourself. And so that visual of them like handing, you know, gifting it to them is kind of a symbol of like them accepting the help, passing the burden over to somebody else for a time. That's what that makes me think. That's what that makes me feel, is those moments.
Yeah. And yeah, I get that. You're looking at it from a place of anxiety. For me, I'm looking at more at the place of someone who experiences more the depression side. And for me, I look at that and I feel, because there's a point where, like, you know, you can't do anything. You know, you're almost useless. Like, you can't help yourself, and so you need to look at somebody and go, please help me. I can't. I literally can't.
Yeah. Now that we've jumped right into the deep end, let's go to another song, which is a song I've been blasting on the way home from work right now. King.
Yes.
Which sings to my fantasy-obsessed heart. Everything about this song is bold and bright and colorful and dramatic, and it's the picture of determination and adventure. And, you know, what about this king? And why are we protecting him? Who's this person protecting? It tells such a vivid story, and it gives you all these questions.
It does.
Answers none of them. And there's a great line right at the beginning before the break in the song, which is, keep the king, I'll keep him safe from the dark things that wait in that house at the top of the rock. Now, this is where my conspiracy theories come into play, because this is like the exact visuals I'm getting from Rockrose.
Right.
So I'm thinking, is this poor soul with the thimble, is this the king? You know, did he get exposed to the dark things in the house on top of the rock? And whoever's telling the story, the voice of the songs, you know, how did they fail in keeping him safe? So
Yeah.
That's a little theory that we discussed on our own free time. But the music video, which I'm sure in post I'm showing some of that now.
Excellent.
It's so fun. It's just a lot of like unrealistic expectations from artists these days. They look perfect all the time in every single video.
Right.
And it's so...
Joey and Madeline just say, screw that, we're gonna be chaotic forest people.
And they're beautiful, beautiful people.
Yeah, they are.
Which is just heightened by their obvious passion for their work. So, as a fan, not just of the songs, but of the people as well, watching their videos, it's so much fun. Because they're in their element.
Right. One of my favorite lines from it is, the sea and its waters, every unwanted daughter, every moon in the sky, every promise and lie. Yes. It's such a fabulous, I mean, obviously it's hard to pick a favorite part of any of these songs. Yeah. Because they're all fantastic, but it's just such a good one.
Okay, you want to segue us into another one?
Why don't we go with Wild Blue Yonder?
Oh, yes. I think for me, Wild Blue Yonder was the one that got me.
It was. I remember because, like, you listened to Fair a lot, and then, like, 2 days later, if that, you were like, oh my gosh, Wild Blue Yonder, though.
That one sticks out to me the most because I was just, I had that on repeat in my room. I was absolutely obsessed with it. So I kind of consider that, like, the one that drew me in.
It's got so much playfulness in it, and I love that about it.
Yes, I love just they keep repeating "Let's hide under the covers" throughout the song, and I love the I think it's the last one. Let's hide under the covers. We don't know what's out there. Could be ghosts or monsters or a robot vampire. And
that is the last one.
That represents like life's troubles aren't really scary when you have somebody facing them with you. You know, you can make fun of them because they're not as daunting if you're not by yourself. Yeah, just this song, I think this song, it's one of the strongest that it is, you know, or I shouldn't say, it's the most noticeable in this song, I think. But it's such a common theme in all of their songs of just, we have each other. Yes. You know? Yeah. And that's the most important thing. This song, it just touches more on the playfulness and the youth of it and just the joy that you can find in life because of it. Yeah. Exactly. And if I could use that to segue us into the next song. Absolutely. Love Run / Not Yet. Yes. Which I'm going to put up their live jam session of that because I listened to that one over their pre-recorded version. Really? It's got more oomph to it, I think. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun to watch, and it is one of my favorite versions. Yeah. I've split it in my notes. I start with Not Yet, and then Love Run, and then go like separate, because they're two separate songs. Yeah, you know? Well, yeah, because, I mean, even if they are, like, smashed into one song, I also consider them two separate ones. Yeah. As well. It's a lot. It's a freaking 9-minute song, so I have a lot to say about it. Dude, it's my longest note in here. Same with mine. I can't even put to words how good this song is. I really can't. It like takes my heart out of my body and like just it flies away. It's just so happy. Doesn't it though? Especially at that chorus. Yes, and I love as you shook in the middle of the night without waking, you said, "Not yet, not yet." And it's this their vocals, you know, between Joey and Madeline, it is a mix of delicacy and like careful and like craftsmanship, and then just from that precision is just complete power. And it's like the things they're singing about, they're singing about real life. They're singing about real life things, right? but it feels like it's otherworldly because of how they approach it, because of how they phrase things. And it's just tangled with magic. And so for me, Not Yet is boldness mixing with love and adoration. And then Love Run is like a mixture of passion and like for life, for your job, for yourself, people around you, just that feeling that can come pouring out of you. But that can also be a very scary feeling because you're like, I might, try something new. You know what I mean? I might change my life with this feeling. And so you can scare yourself with these moments. And that's kind of what Love Run feels like to me, is like, take this and run with it. But I have more to go into here, but I'm going to break so you can get a word in edgewise.
Okay, going back up to excuse me, going back up to Not Yet, I want to say that for the chorus, a specific visual, I don't know if I've ever told you this, a specific visual that's always hit me in that song, in that chorus, is that I've always imagined them in like a pillow fort.
Yes, same. 100% yes.
Like a pillow fort laying on the floor, like it's probably yellow cushions, and like just as like it's like dawn, and just as the sunlight is like streaming through the window,
Yeah.
That's all I want to touch on. And then going down to Love Run, there's so much I could say about that part of the song, because it's love all the lines of run to show that love's worth running to. It's just such a good, it's not said enough in songs and in general that love is worth running towards. And like that's the first thing that hit me when I listened to this song, I think. But I also wrote for lines, though some would harm you, none, not one, no none, will raise to you a hand nor thumb, not while by you I stand and hum.
Yes.
And I love that. Like, I'm just, you know what? I'm a sucker for like us against the world relationships.
Yes.
And that line particularly just really hits me as like us against the world relationship line.
100%. I live by a lot of rural roads, as do you. You live by far more, but I like to take those detours on the way home and like just enjoy the view in this awesome jam. I mean, we could go on, but we could make an entire 25-minute episode about this song.
Oh my gosh. We could make an entire 25-minute episode about all of their songs.
Honestly, we could.
Yeah. And it's like touching on what you said about like hanging on to that passion and youthfulness and everything. Like it really just cements that, like listen to the song that you once knew well. Listen to that like sound inside of you, it's that joyfulness that you had. Because otherwise you have just, like, any sense of enjoyment in life sucked out of you.
Yeah, you have to make life exciting. You can't just wait for life to thrill you. You have to take those moments for yourself.
Right.
And some people don't get that. Some people look at it as wasting time. But if you enjoyed the time, it wasn't wasted.
Exactly.
There's never a negative from increasing your serotonin levels.
No. Shush. No.
I'm not encouraging people to slack off or anything, but like.
No, but like.
Give yourself
listen,
grace.
If you have the time to, or the ability to go have fun for yourself, then gosh darn it, take it. Because life is too short to be miserable for all of it.
Yeah. Okay, take us into the next thing.
You know what? Why don't we just go for Unwanted Animal, and you can ramble about that for a hot second.
All right. So hi everyone, welcome. This is going to be like a little segment in the podcast where T talks about her conspiracy theories. That Unwanted Animal is one of the tracks on their Horror in the Wild album. Wow, it blew my mind. It still blows my mind all the time, nonstop. I'm not even listening to it, and it's still blowing my mind. It is Madeline's turn to shine. Basically, is what this song says. So everyone shut up and listen. But for me, this song is that strength that explodes from being weary for too long. And it's just anger and madness from being stagnant without question, like just surrendering to whatever it is that's plaguing you, whether it's your thoughts or if it's a situation or if it's a person. It's just that stir craziness of like, why have I given into this for such a long time, or why haven't I fought this yet? You know, the lyrics are just so like passionate and aggressive and chaotic, and I love it. The can't you hear it? It can hear you. It wants me too. And then that whisper of try to play at the wall, and everything goes crazy. I love that so much, and
I love that transition.
Yes, it hits you. When you listen to that for the first time, please go click the link in the description for that Unwanted Animal. Go listen to just the first part of this song. You'll get what I mean. It will freak you out. I like, I'm the paper cut that kills you and the priest that you ignored. That's so ominous. I like that from like a woman's perspective. You know,
which really is what this entire song is from.
Yes, well, it is based on by a woman, but I feel like those lines specifically is like, just disclaimer here, this isn't supposed to get political, this is my own personal thoughts and feelings. But, you know, throughout history, in the classical sense, women did not have a solid role in society when it came to important things, or drastic things, or life-changing things. So the paper cut that kills you is like Agamemnon's wife killing him in front of his party of men when they've returned from the 60-year war, because he just assumed he could walk back in and rule the household again after she'd been doing it all this time. He underestimated her, so she took matters into her own hands. He underestimated her. She was a paper cut, but she killed him. Another chunk of the song, which I almost forgot to bring up, which would have been terrible, which I think applies to my woman/sex concept, is her bit, I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah. And you follow philosophies, but me, I laugh, I choke. Well, hello, my hollow Holofernes. I wink, but you don't get the joke. Okay, so long story short, Holofernes was an Assyrian invading general dispatched by Nebuchadnezzar to take vengeance on the nations of the West. But he was killed by a Jewish woman who seduced him to get him alone. So again, playing into my I'm the paper cut that killed you. In these ages, these days and age, women were nothing. They were literally nothing. They had no wealth, they had no money, they had no power, they were insignificant. But she took down this general, according to legend, using her quote-unquote womanly wiles, or whatever you want to call it. You know, something that I'm assuming Holofernes assumed that he had power over. Yeah. So good. I just love this song. I love all these songs.
Okay, so that being said, I think I'll go with New York Torch.
All right.
So, New York Torch song. This is one of the earlier songs that I listened to when I was just getting into them. Originally, I didn't actually like this song very much. Like, my first handful of times listening to it, I was like, I mean, I guess it's good. But, like, it's really growing on me. Honestly, I adore it now. You need to go listen to it, darn you.
I will, right at the moment we finish this, I'm going to listen to it.
I don't know, it gives me this emotion of freedom, almost. Freedom and kind of a carelessness, but not in the sense of being reckless. More just like, throwing up your middle finger at everyone and not caring what they think and just grabbing someone and going. And it just kind of gives these visuals of like running through the streets of a city, holding hands, having a ball, even though most people are like, what? And like going to places that are normally overlooked. I'll say I have a few favorite lines. It was hard to narrow this down, ironically. One of them, it's are you god or devil, ghost disheveled, childhood friend or drunken rebel? I cannot stop, I'm bleeding out. Obviously, like, if you listen to that song, it's the way it's being sung is just so good. Please go listen to it.
I'm pulling it up on my phone right now.
Yes. And another favorite line of mine is, I cannot find the words to keep you. Which also hit me on like kind of a personal level. Yeah. Because like there have been, obviously, like anyone, they have times where it's like you really care about someone, but you just can't find the words or the way to get them to stay. Whether it's in a moment or long term or for a few seconds, you just can't find the words to keep them. And I love the chorus of this. It's your blood does not bleed red no more. It's brighter than the sun burns. It's brighter with every hum. From within this gaping wound of ours, a new us has begun.
I love that.
Right? Especially about the wound at the end. Yeah. Starting over often begins with something painful, with a wound, with whatever, but like it creates something new. And it's just, I don't know, there are so many good lines. I really love the chorus with that, with this one specifically. It's just such a good one.
So that is all the songs on our list. We might need to make a part 2 to this video if it does well enough, because we still have to cover Unwanted Animal, the other dramatic one. Farewell Wanderlust, and the Welly Boots too. Yes. I love that one.
Yeah, I love that. I almost did that one instead of New York Tour.
I was listening to the album today, taking these notes, and I almost added it and like swapped it out for another song because damn, it's just so good. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening on our little corner of the internet. Make sure go check out songs we have linked in the description. I'm also going to link the Amazing Devils Bandcamp for obvious reasons, and you can have access to all their songs. And please consider buying them. You will not regret it.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next time, whenever that may be. Say goodbye, Moon.
Good adios.
Oh my gosh.
Good aloha.
No, that's just good hello.
No, aloha is both hello and goodbye in Hawaiian. Go educate yourself.